Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Bits of Coin in the 5-minute pool on ICC. Let's play d4, d5. What will we have? Will they play c4 and take it to a Queen's Gambit? They do. Let's play c6 and play bishop f5, the slow Slav. I've had a good amount of games with this line in recently. Usually white plays knight h4 now. Okay, but he's going with the Magnus Carlsen approach, bishop e2, which is fine. This does allow black to keep this light square bishop oftentimes, but it is a valid approach. I'm going to put the bishop on e7. It's less exposed here. Yeah, it looks like white's just kind of developing in a comfortable way. They're not necessarily pushing for a huge advantage. Maybe a5 is worth playing just to stake out space on the queen side. Okay, knight d2. I feel like I can reposition my bishop to d6 now. I think I will do that. They might play for f4 and try to get a lock on the e5 square, but at the same time, I like that my queen and bishop are pointed at a3. So let's see if he goes for f4 now. He does. Now, where am I going to play? Because he's locking the position up, and I feel like I need to get some play on the queen side. So maybe b6, b6, b4. Yeah, let's do that. So let's at least try to break up the queen side a bit. And he takes, okay. So I can take with the bishop, but then knight a4. Bishop takes, knight a4, rook f c8, let's say. Looking to get in c5. Or just take with the knight. I think knight takes is better. Maybe I can play bishop d6 then, attack the pawn, and hopefully eventually achieve the c5 pawn break. Okay, so he's going after me on the queen's or on the king's side. Let's play bishop g6. I'm skeptical that g5 or f5 would be good for white, so I don't think they're going to play that way. Okay, let's come here with the bishop, attack that pawn. He played kind of a restrained move, h3. It's possible white will play f5 at some stage, but I think for now, I'm liking what I see here. If c5, he's going to go knight b5. No doubt about it. So maybe rook f c8 first. Yeah, let's do rook f c8. Just get the rook operating on a file that is likely to be opened. Okay, wants the e5 square. Let's go knight e4 and try to exchange this piece. He takes, okay, take with the bishop. If knight e5, I can always push him back with f6, should I so choose to. Ooh, also queen h4 is looking pretty good. I can play king h2 in that case. Maybe it's nothing. c5. c5 could be strong. Let's go c5. We'll just advance. If he takes, we take with the bishop, and we're on the pawn on e3. So hence, I think he's going to play bishop d4 and try to block us. But bishop d4 might be no picnic either. There's even funky moves like bishop c2. Okay, so he plays queen there. Boy, I'd really like to play queen h4, but king h2 is always an answer. Maybe I should just go after this knight. Like knight d7. Let's do that for simplicity's sake. He's got us on the clock by a minute and a half, minute or so. But I feel like my position's good, so I'm just going to play a move to exchange off his best piece, this knight. And he is apparently okay with that trade. He takes with the bishop now, though. I can take on a3. Wow, so he plays that. That's super ugly. That's a gross move. No other way to describe that. Rook here, there's a4, but then I play bishop b4, and I'm getting in. Let's do that. I want to try to induce a4. If he takes on a5, I have bishop takes e3 check, so I don't think that's good for him. Also, if bishop... Okay, so he's playing bishop a4. Queen g5. Yeah, let's go queen g5. Attack e3. If bishop d4, I think taking and then rook into c2 is strong. White has a lot of weaknesses to deal with. I might play pawn h5 to attack g4. If he plays rook a to e1, okay, he's going to go with this move. So here I was just thinking take and then rook into c2. And I wasn't seeing much for him. Can't take with the pawn, so queen takes is forced. Yeah, let's just bring this in, and rook g2 is the threat. Okay, so here I can just take and then play queen h4 check.
Check.
Go after this h3 pawn. And his position should be collapsing. King's on the run. Lost the h-pawn. Gonna lose the g-pawn soon. Yeah, nothing going white's way. If rook c1, I think queen g2 check should be good. Here, I kind of just want to play rook c2 and increase the pressure. I don't even think I need to go for the pawn on g4 yet. I think it's good enough just to play for rook c2. All right, let's just take that guy. Let's just take this pawn with check. He does have a passed b pawn, but I mean, he's not in a great position to utilize that. Rook check on c1. Is bishop d1 technically? Queen g3 has got to be good. Yeah, let's do queen g3 first. Probably forces king e2, yep. How about rook c4? Rook c4, just attack that queen. We always have a flight square for our king to h7, which is super handy. So let's just force this queen to move. Because now I should be able to check and have it be much stronger. I'm going to go rook d1 on the next move. Just making sure.
Check.
Yeah, this is going to win material. King e1, rook c1 check, bishop d1, rook takes d1. That's simple enough. Yeah, so let's do this check. There might be some better way to play this, but I think this is just by far the easiest way to do it. Yeah, so he resigned, losing the rook with check next move. All right, so he played pretty loose in the middle game. I think starting after b6, c takes b6, knight takes b6. I don't think it was necessary to play g4 and weaken his king like that, because playing g4 and then following it with h3 doesn't seem desirable to me. I mean, he's gained a little space, but the king is awfully drafty now. I especially didn't like the decision to play, what was it, bishop b5, I think, for white. That looked bad. Knight takes e5, taking with the pawn is not what you want here. Doubled e-pawns. My queen gets access to g5. It was downhill for white after this. Okay, so let's go back and take a look at it. So this was a slow Slav with bishop f5. And white plays knight c3, e6. And usually they play knight h4 now to go after that bishop. And you might have seen games recently, like my game against Francesco Rambaldi, the grandmaster from Italy, who I played in round 6 of the London Chess Classic FIDE Open. In that game, I played bishop e4. I also play a lot of bishop g6. But white played bishop e2, which I know is a move that Carlsen has used before. The idea is to get black to play h6, and then white goes bishop d3. So they kind of lose a tempo, playing bishop e2, then bishop d3. But they argue that h6 is actually a harmful move for black because it loosens the king side. So I tried to avoid playing h6, hence I just played knight bd7, and after castling, then played h6. But he didn't go bishop d3. I think he should go bishop d3, but he just played on the queen side, a3, b3, and fianchettoed the dark square bishop. You know, it is worth mentioning that bishop d6 could be played, and maybe in this scenario I should do it, but I was just worried that he might revert to bishop d3, and then after a trade, white is looking to play e4, and I think black's bishop feels less comfortable on d6 in those scenarios than it does here on e7. So that was my reasoning for playing bishop e7 over bishop d6. a5, just making sure that white can't expand easily with b4. Yeah, knight d2 is intriguing because this does introduce the plan of f4. So I reposition my bishop, and then white clamped the position with c5 followed by f4. So it's important when you have less space to figure out either how you're going to exchange pieces or how you're going to break with your pawns. Those are two prominent methods for playing in a cramped position. And here, undeniably, I have less space. white's pawns are encroaching on my territory, especially this c5 pawn. And with the pawn on f4, white might try knight f3 to e5. So I shouldn't just sit back and wait for white to gain even more space. I need to look for counterplay. And it's not easy to exchange pieces to relieve some of the pressure. I think pawn breaks are more important. So that's why I went for b6 here. Let's see what the engine has to say. The engine says rook fc8. Don't know how good the engine is going to be in this type of position. Nothing has been exchanged yet, and it's closed. This is exactly the type of position an engine may not be as useful as human understanding. Rook fc8 looks kind of odd, although if rook fc8 is attached to the plan of pushing b6, then I might get on board with that. Knight f3, b5, okay, yeah, so pushing the b pawn. I mean, I like b6 a bit more just because it forces white to a decision. With b5, there's no guarantee that white will be taking. So b6, on the other hand, makes white take or defend the c5 pawn, which they could with b4, but I don't know if they're quite prepared to open the queen side. Yeah, rook fb8, that looks like a sensible move. And then I'm threatening to take on c5, and that bishop on b2 could be a target if white's unable to take with the b pawn especially. So I think b6 is well timed. I took with the knight. Yeah, I didn't like white's strategy after this. I thought playing g4 followed by h3 was inconsistent. If you're going to play g4, you hope to be able to continue pushing pawns, but maybe they realized that it was too risky to do so. Like if g5, I can just take, and surely this pawn on g5 will be a target. Here, let's say h4. Yeah, I can even take it right away. Here, and
Check.
White's king has been ripped to shreds. His own undoing. Yeah, this is terrible for white. Likewise, f5 I can take, and not only is e3 hanging with check, but also just the pawn on f5 is going to be weak. Even if I played something as simple as this and not even go after the pawn. Although I would take on e3. So after h3, here I played bishop d6, reminding white that this pawn is weak. He played rook a1. a4 was also possible, but that gives me the b4 square to work with. I think this is a nice move, bishop d6, because not only does it attack the pawn, but it prepares the pawn break c5. I'm still looking for those pawn breaks. And my c pawn is a backward pawn, meaning it does not have a pawn on either side of it, like on d7 or b7 to protect it. So it does constitute a weakness. And I think I should advance it and try to exchange it for white's pawn on d4. Yeah, I liked my position here. I think I was doing well. Now that some pieces have been exchanged and white's wasted some time with like rook to c1, then back to a1. Also the kingside plan hasn't panned out for them. This is looking like a perfect scenario for black. So I got c5 in, opening lines. Queen d2. Yeah, here I just traded the knight on e5. This is one of these positions where I think it's important not to spend too much time in a blitz game. I knew my position was good, but I didn't see exactly how to prosecute that advantage. And if I play queen h4, the move that looks good, attacking this and this, he's always just going to play king h2 and cover. So rather than spend time looking for something concrete, I thought, let's just trade this good knight. Get rid of that knight on e5. Yep, and it looks like our conclusion or our thoughts about bishop b5 are correct. That's just a bad move by white. So they should trade, and black is better here because my bishops are a lot more effective, and I think white's pawn weaknesses are also going to come to tell. Black has a much more compact structure than white does. The pawn on a5 is a little bit weak, but with white's queen needing to tend to the e3 weakness, it's hard to see how white's ever going to make use of that. But white should swap the knights. I think bishop b5, this is just leading down a real negative path for white. Yeah, I'm not sure why he didn't take with the bishop. I was totally expecting bishop takes. I think I have good options against bishop takes. Like, yeah, queen a7 looks nice, attacking this. Maybe queen b7 as well. But for some reason, he took with the pawn instead. Yeah, now rook ab8. I'm glad the engine likes that one. So attacking the bishop. He can't play queen takes a5 because bishop takes e3 check is crushing. So he's either got to move the bishop or defend it. And if he moves it like back to, let's say, e2, then I get in rook takes b3. And I thought if a4, then I could play bishop b4, and my rook would be coming in. I see queen h4 is also very strong here. That's probably because of king h2. Bishop b4 is good, or even, yeah, the more forcing move, bishop takes e3 and rook c2 check is coming. Disaster on the second rank for white. So he played bishop a4. I played queen g5. Again, queen h4 is strong. That must be because of the same idea. Bishop takes e3. I didn't see that in the game. But after the king comes to h2 to defend the pawn, we take here and rook
Check.
c2, and that's probably just going to be mate soon, isn't it? Yeah, mate in 7. If this, I don't even have to take the bishop. I have rook g2 check. And black will have a windmill. But queen g5 also looks good. Yeah, bishop d4. Had he played like rook ae1, I think I was just going to play bishop back to b6 or something, and then prepare rook into c2. Although the engine keeps suggesting better ways to implement my ideas, like bishop takes a3, forceful once again. The idea of getting the rook to the second rank is so strong that I can even give up a piece to do so, like this, thanks to that windmill.
Check.
And this is what a windmill is when you have, it's usually a rook supported by like a bishop, giving a check on the enemy king and forcing it to go into a square where the rook can discover against the king. So like here, the king has been forced to h1,
Check.
so I can go check with a discovered attack. And then I could even repeat the process
Check.
if I wanted, like this.
Check.
Go to a different square and
Checkmate.
come in for checkmate. So a windmill is an important tactical pattern you should know. So bishop d4, we swap bishops. Rook came in, and yeah, I think the position is just too tough to hold. I mean, rook f2 loses
Check.
the h-pawn, but white can't do anything here. His coordination is too poor. Rook g2 is a threat. Needs to stop it.
Check.
Now let's just see if I missed anything obvious after this. I think rook c8 was a good decision. Tempting to take the pawn on g4 check, but that pawn is always going to be weak. I wanted to include my rook in the attack as well. These are positions I'm
Check.
working on where I'm winning, but there's multiple paths to winning, and they might get a little complicated. I'm working at just being pragmatic and
Check.
trying not to confuse myself. Because it's such a bad feeling in chess when you have a totally winning position and you think too long about various good options and you somehow like mess it up or get in time pressure and lose because of it. It's just like the worst feeling in chess. There's a lot of bad feelings in chess, but that's right up there. So
Check.
I'm happy that didn't happen here.
Check.
Yeah, and
Check.
here I just took on d1. Once the queen has been driven away from helping the bishop on d1, it's worse for white, because had I played the
Check.
immediate queen g2 and then rook c1 check, this is probably still good for black. Yeah, there's moves like bishop c2. But if I can force the queen away from assisting and defending the bishop, I think it's visually
Check.
better.
Check.
Because now we simply have
Check.
rook takes d1 and deflect the white king. Okay, well, I'm happy with our play in this game. I think once we were able to play b6 and gradually open the position, black's position just got better and better. I think white played recklessly, though. I definitely dislike some of the decisions they made, especially starting right around here with bishop b5 and then inexplicably taking with the f-pawn. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye, guys.